I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV episode number 146. We are back after a lengthy absence due to the holidays and the polar vortex that came through Ohio last week as well as most of the United States.
Wasn't that a Valiant comic?
Polar Vortex. That's a new character written by Fred Van Lente, I think. But we're back with our giant stack of awesomeness to go over with you. And we're going to embrace the awesome this year. We're not going to try not to say it. That is just the word that we both use to talk about things that are incredible. We say awesome. So lots of awesomeness this week. Kicking things off with Alex and Ada #3 by Jonathan Luna and Sarah Vaughn. This is published by Image Comics, and this is all kinds of awesome. First 3 issues, each one has been excellent. I believe this is a 4 or 5 issue miniseries. It might be an ongoing though, as I usually don't know what I'm talking about. But it's the most real book that's out there right now. It's the characters are very relatable. The dialogue is fantastic. Not a lot happens in this issue, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it. At the end of the night, last night of reading all my comics, I came to the conclusion that I really enjoyed this one the most, and there were a lot of contenders. So Alex and Ada is a great series. Just a recommendation. I think we may have mentioned this with a previous issue too. But if you have seen the movie Her or She, what's it called?
It's called Her.
Hershey. It's about the chocolate company.
It's where Black Widow is friends with
it's
Johnny
where
Cash.
Siri is voiced by Scarlett Johansson, and the guy who said he wasn't acting anymore is in it, and directed by Spike Jonze. Anyway, this is, I think, maybe a more relatable version of that because it's an actual android and not just a bodiless voice. So, Alex and Ada, awesome.
Next up, IDW has a long tradition of bending their various licensed properties together, and that is kicked off once more with X-Files Conspiracy. This is the first of the 2 bookend books, and in between this X-Files story going through to the second part, you're going to cross over with Ghostbusters, with Transformers, with probably some other stuff. There's another
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
The Crow.
The Crow, yeah.
Yeah, it's all over the place. But it's good. If you're an X-Files fan, it's great to see them branching out. This focuses a lot more on the lone gunman.
Yes.
That's what they're called. The 3 crazy guys in the van. And it was a lot of fun. It was very cool. And I especially like that with their previous crossover stuff, the Infestations, it was bookends, and then each thing kind of happened in its own universe. But this is going to be the X-Files characters crossing into each of the other universes. And you actually get some moments in here as they're kind of looking over what's happening. You know, Mulder giving his thoughts on the core concept of Transformers. And it's very cool. We're fans. You know, I like to have my Mego figures all interact so Batman can punch Thor. And that's what IDW is giving you. A fun universe that's all in one, and you can have Mulder punch Optimus Prime. Probably would not have done that before.
Would be awesome. Oh, next up for me is Disney Kingdom's Seekers of the Weird #1. Now, this is the first official collaboration between Marvel Comics and Disney, and this is just such a cool concept. It's a comic book based on an unproduced theme park attraction called the Museum of the Weird, or something along those lines. So it takes place in present day, but it's based on concepts that have been around for decades that they discovered in the Disney Vault, and where all of those DVDs live that only come out every once in a while. This is written by Brandon Seifert, who writes Witch Doctor, as well as Something Behind Me that I don't remember. Oh no, not Something Behind Me. Hellraiser. He's doing Hellraiser over
Something Behind Me, coming from Image and Brandon Seifert.
Yes, so this is a little more tame than Hellraiser and Witch Doctor, but if you like Seifert's previous work, absolutely want to check this one out. And this is perfect for you Disney fanatics, people that go to Disney World every year, every couple of years, and you love the ins and outs of everything Disney. This is so cool to see an unproduced attraction see the light of day in comic book form, and it was a fun adventure for a first issue. Looking forward to see what happens next.
Yeah, and I especially like the back material that kind of gives the story behind it. You see some behind the curtain.
The Joe Quesada interview with the guy in the old folks home.
Yeah, well. Speaking of Joe Quesada interviews with guys, that was in Miracle Man, wasn't it?
I don't know.
It wasn't in there.
I guess it was in there.
Miracle Man #1, the book that dare not speak its name, that was created because of lawsuits, birthed through lawsuits, canceled because of lawsuits, and is now brought back through a lawsuit. Miracle Man, a classic book, started in the 50s by Marvel UK, and then, I'm sorry, it was originally Marvel Man, and then changed into Miracle Man in the 80s, written by some guy with a beard named Alan Moore.
Some crazy guy with a beard.
Who's not credited on the book because he can't be. This reprints the first kind of just a taste issue from the 50s stuff to give you a feel for it, and then reprints the first part of Warriors, which was the Miracle Man Alan Moore stuff. It's the beginning of a long-term plan that Marvel has to reprint all of this stuff that's been out of print since the original issues were in store. It's never been traded. It's never been collected in any meaningful way. You had to track down these issues, which were fairly scarce. And at the end of reprinting all of the run, we're going to get to the new stuff. They're going to finally get it completed. Neil Gaiman is going to finish the arc that he started decades ago. And this has a substantial amount of back matter in it, giving the history of Miracle Man and Marvel Man, and an interview with Joe Quesada and Mick Anglo, who was the original creator. And it was fun. It was neat to see comics from the 80s that I'd never read before that were actually good. You know, all too often you look at some older stuff and it doesn't age well, but this actually was very relatable and very modern in its sensibility. So, Miracle Man, great book.
I continue my love affair with Superman, Wonder Woman this week.
And Charles Soule.
And Charles Soule. There are 4 of us. It's a party. Anyway, Superman, Wonder Woman #4 from DC Comics, written by Charles Soule, artwork by Tony S. Daniel. This is the complete package. This is great writing, great artwork, 2 of the best characters that are around, and it is, for my money, the best book that DC Comics is publishing right now. Continues to be incredible. There's a backup story in here as well that kind of fills in a time gap in this issue. Also written by Soule, but artwork by Paulo Seguera, and the artwork blew me away. It is awesome. The artwork was awesome. So again, for a great story featuring 2 of the most powerful beings on Earth and 2 of the most popular characters in pop culture, you cannot go wrong with Superman and Wonder Woman.
I spent the whole last year raving about how awesome Injustice Gods Among Us was. Unfortunately, it is over. Issue 12 came and went, and the series ended. But it's okay, kids, because Injustice Gods Among Us Year 2, #1 is on the shelves this week, and it continues to be great. I'm a huge Green Lantern, Green Arrow fan. Not just I like them separately, but I really love them together. And the main thrust of this issue is a Green Arrow, Green Lantern story involving also Black Canary. And it's great because if you've been reading the book, you know that Green Arrow is on one side of the superhero war and Green Lantern is on the other. So you get flashbacks seeing them together and then them in the present, and it was just really emotional and just really solid comics. Injustice is awesome. Why aren't you reading it?
First trade, first hardcover, available wherever fine comic books are sold. You should absolutely pick it up. And then start reading single issues. Or wait for the trade. Either way, it's a great series, great series. Going back to Charles Soule for a minute, Thunderbolts #20 Point Now, which also means Thunderbolts, all new Marvel Now, Thunderbolts #1. Somebody at Marvel needs to be shot. I'm telling you, this marketing is horrendous, but look past the horrendous marketing and enjoy the good stories that are being told. Not a huge Thunderbolts fan. I don't think I've read it since issue #1, but I've become such a fan of Charles Soule's writing that I will follow him anywhere at this point, and I figured this was a great jumping on point as a point now, as a #1 issue. And in this issue, Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider shows up on the Thunderbolts team. So we've got it's weird that this hasn't been done before, and it kind of has been done before, but not to this degree.
Midnight Suns.
Well, not even Midnight Suns. I mean, you have these well-known vigilante, on-the-run people, and now they're functioning as a team under General Thunderbolt Ross. So you've got Red Hulk, you've got Punisher, Deadpool, Elektra, Venom, a.k.a. Flash Thompson, Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider, some person named Mercy that I don't know anything about because this is the first issue that I've read, and Red Leader. Who is that, Luke? Is that Luke Skywalker?
Yes.
Samuel Stearns, who apparently is red now instead of green. So.
Luke was Rogue Leader.
Yeah.
He was Red 5.
Oh, okay. So anyway, if you're enjoying Letter 44, if you're enjoying Superman, Wonder Woman, or Swamp Thing, or Red Lanterns, or any of the hundreds of other books that Charles Soule writes, you should check out Thunderbolts #20 Point Now, because I did and I liked it.
On the new and noteworthy front, we've got Egos #1, written by Stuart Moore with art by Gus Storms. And
that's a cool name, by the way.
It is a cool name, Gus Storms. Sounds like a NASCAR driver. Hi, Gus. And Egos is one of those indie books that's not as much an indie book. It's basically playing on the tropes. I mean, just the same way that Watchmen was about the Charlton characters, but it wasn't about the Charlton characters. This is about the Justice League, or maybe the Legion of Superheroes. It's far in the future, superhero teams. And it's very cool. It's an interesting kind of, not quite cynical look at the heroes, but it looks at possible evolutions of where the characters we have now would go in the future and the possible fallouts of the relationships. And it was just a lot of fun. It was a real thought-provoker. If you like J. Michael Straczynski's sidekick. This is in a very similar vein to that, and it would probably appeal to you.
Superior Spider-Man number 25, Dan Slott, Christos Gage, Umberto Ramos. This is Darkest Hours, the final chapter. We get Superior Venom with Doc Ock, Otto Octavius. There are some surprises in here. A whole lot of stuff happens in here. It's an oversized book, and they had to make room for all of the awesomeness that made it into this book. The next part that we go into is Goblin War, which leads to the end of Superior Spider-Man and the launch of Amazing Spider-Man in April. I imagine you've seen all the news on the internet about that, but we won't talk about it just in case. This continues to be one of the finest comics ever made, in my opinion. I mean, really, Dan Slott's run on Amazing Spider-Man, first Amazing and then Superior, is legendary. It will be spoken in the halls of comicdom for years and years and years as just incredible. Thoroughly enjoying this. That's why I talk about it every time an issue comes out. But if you've been following it, you don't want to miss this one. But it sets up Goblin War, which leads to the return of someone whose initials are PP. I don't know who that is, but we'll find out together.
Come and let us explore the PP. Next up, we have the first part of First Contact, or well, more aptly, the prelude to First Contact.
The Star Trek movie?
Yes. Benedict Cumberbatch's going to be in there. Wait, no, First Contact. Sorry, yeah.
Carry on.
The guy from Babe was in that. Yes, he was drunk.
Right? Oliver Cromwell. No, James Cromwell.
Either way. World's Finest, number 19. This kicks off the storyline that promises to lead to Batman and Superman meeting. Huntress and Power Girl, who are from Earth 2, are their relations.
For the first time, for the last time.
Yes, and that is all you need to know. It's written by Paul Levitz, who's a longtime DC scribe and editor. If you want to see some people who are getting all emotional and teary or possibly punching each other as they meet, that's where I would start.
I don't know if Josh mentioned because I kind of spaced out for a minute, but this crosses over into Batman Superman.
It does.
So it's going to go from World's Finest to Batman Superman and back and forth 2 or 3 times. Looks good. Next up for me, Ghosted. This is kind of an honorable mention, don't forget about me sort of thing. We were big fans of Ghosted. It was originally supposed to be a 5-issue miniseries, and then got the green light to be an ongoing series. So this is the first part after that first arc, and it's fun. It's exciting. The artwork is good. If you like books like Thief of Thieves, or there was something else we were talking about earlier. Blah blah blah. I don't know.
Witch Doctor, maybe. I mean, it's similar.
Yeah, maybe. You know, it's about a guy, you know, an ex-con, a bank robber who his team gets killed on a job. He ends up in prison. He gets busted out of prison to go capture a ghost for this wealthy billionaire. That was the first arc, and all this exciting stuff happens. Well, now he's kind of in hiding, and he's discovered by the people that own the casino that he robbed with his old gang, and they want to hire him or forgive his debt in exchange for him finding a missing girl. But she's not just a missing girl, she is a possessed missing girl. So if you like the supernatural, if you like shows like Leverage and books like Thief of Thieves, you want to continue checking out Ghosted. It's really good.
Also on the not actually new, but we want to remind you because you don't forget about it, Sex Criminals came out last week and was awesome. That was issue 4. But the important thing at the moment is issue 3 is now into its second printing, which means we have all 4 issues. So there is no excuse for you not to come in and buy Time Magazine's Comic of the Year for last year.
Alex, there are 4 issues or 5?
4.
4. Sorry, for some reason I thought that there were 5 issues of Sex Criminals. That's how much I like it. It's just so good.
It's good enough for 5 issues.
It is. It is. And this, again, when the trade comes out of this, we've seen in the store, and again nationally, Saga is climbing up the charts rapidly, hot on the heels of Watchmen and Walking Dead here in our store, as far as becoming one of the best-selling graphic novels in the store. I think when Sex Criminals comes out, it's going to be the same way, because we all thoroughly enjoy it. We're going to be hand-selling it left and right. Great stuff, great stuff. We're running out of time because we're still being penalized by our friends over at YouTube for some unknown reason, and we haven't been able to crack the code as to why we can't post videos longer than 15 minutes anymore. So, hopefully we're under 15. I do want to let you know that we're now selling comics digitally online. So if you're watching this video outside of Lima, Allen County, Ohio, and you'd like to support Alter Ego Comics, you can check the notes below and click on the links and shop in our digital store, and we'll get a few pennies every time you buy a comic. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging in there, and let us know what you think of the show and if there's anything else you want us to talk about going down the road. See you next time.